December 6, 2023. This is S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. This is what I saw on the charts today. There was only really one piece of economic data that might have moved the market. Came out around 5:15 Pacific Standard, which is about right here where my cursor is. Now, it really didn't cause too much of a reaction overall in the context of the whole day. And overall, the charts look like in the pre-market, it made two legs up higher from yesterday. 2 legs up higher, and then for the rest of the day upon the open, it looked like it was just kind of a slow but gradual sell-off. Total range of the day was about 40, I would say about 45 points. So it wasn't too crazy of a move because it took a while for this thing to slowly make its way down. I found originally what I thought was the trading channel, a bigger one here to kind of encapsulate everything, which is this purple one here. But later, after this dwell of the price action, I found that it might be actually this red channel, and then both the red and purple kind of fit pretty nicely at the bottom. But ultimately, I think it might have been the red channel, along with all these little intermediate swings and consolidation areas. I took a total of one trade today, which is a higher low, was profitable, but I didn't find too many setups in the first place. And then there was a second trade that I thought was probably worthwhile taking, was the second entry long, which is about, let me see, I think it was this guy right here. No. It's, yeah, actually this guy right here. The second entry long, I thought was probably the only other decent looking trade. Everything else wasn't that good, and there were a few almost setups. I'm going to go into the trades right now. I do want to point out that the current contracts for the E-Futures Mini, the December contracts, which is the ESZ23, they're going to expire in about 9 days. And if you pull up the ES chart and you look at the volume, the ESH24, which is the first quarter of 2024, you're going to see some volume starting to pick up on that contract as traders are slowly switching over. Now, I think most people are going to start trading the H24 starting next week, but there is a little bit of a split in the volume as more volume is starting to peel away from the Z23s and going into the H24s. There's just something to keep in mind to remember to flip your contracts over. But for me, I think I'll be trading the ES Z23s until Friday, and then Monday we'll go over to the new ones. So this is what the pre-market looked like. It was one leg up, kind of a sell-off, followed by a second leg up. It made a measured move, but I don't trade any of this because in the pre-market, not because I don't want to, it's just I'm usually not around. And then market starting to open, I thought I saw this green channel coming down, and then broke out of it. So this green channel wasn't very valid for too long. There wasn't very many entries I could see either, just too consolidated and too congested. Prices move down. It looks like it falls into this trading range. So it kind of created these multiple highs and multiple lows. And you just, if you look hard, I mean, you don't have to look that hard. If you just look inside, you'll see a bunch of second entries, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're worthwhile trades. It just happens to be the second entry, which are everywhere every day. But you want to take the ones that are near key entry points. And that's what I have to keep reminding myself so I don't end up looking too much and trying to fabricate a trade when the one isn't there. So it's a lot about patience. So then prices didn't continue chopping. Looks like it's holding within this range pretty well. One test, two test, three test. And down here, it looks like it's a pretty solid support. I don't have this yellow channel yet, so it's just this green one. This yellow channel shows up later. As it comes along and it chops, it kind of touches here. That's where I draw this downward trend line support, trend line resistance, and then I just kind of arbitrarily place the support right here. So now I think I'm inside this yellow channel. It looks like it's working so far. Prices continue moving, and this is actually where I find my first setup, but I'll tell you the reasons I didn't quite like it. So it's actually a new low here. It's the first entry short, second entry short. Now, second entry short, EMA is holding prices down, but it's also an inside bar, and I wanted a full touch of this down channel, and it kind of missed it. Ideally, it would have went up, got rejected by this thing, and then closed below the EMA. So this is kind of like an almost setup, but it just wasn't quite there for me. And then prices continue moving. So it looked like if I did enter, there's just enough room. Wow, it's very close. It looks like it would have just been about 5 points. So a 1 point scalp would have been pretty questionable. So I'm okay not have taking this trade. I think I would have if it touched and bounced off of this guy, as I said. Then prices continue moving. This could have been a failed breakout, or the trading range might have actually been lower down to here. I was considering that, but I just kind of left it there for now. Prices then looked like it was shooting up on this green channel. It broke out, tested once, and then made a new high. I also found potentially where this orange channel was. Price is going to continue chopping. It's flashing through this blue range. So this blue range really isn't that important at this point now. It comes down, it flashes through. It looks like it fits nicely in this green channel, and it is pushing down to close to be where the pre-market lows are. So I'm just watching carefully. Chops around, it does the first bounce. Now keep in mind this red and the purple channel lines don't exist yet, but I did see this as it's a break of this green down channel. It broke, tested the lows, and it made one push up, pull back, and here I was seeing a potential second push up. So yes, I think the downtrend or the down move might have played out because it came down, it broke out, closed outside, and already made a new low. So now it made one push up, pull back, making a second push up. So I saw this as a potential higher low. It confirms a higher low, but while this candle was forming, I wanted to make sure that this candle didn't flash and close below this signal bar. So when this candle actually closed, I quickly jumped on this trade and got my order ready. One tick above this big bullish bar. And I like that it was very bullish, so it gave me confidence that there's probably a little bit more momentum, a few more buyers left to push it up. And I put it one tick above because I suspected there's probably some stops one tick above this potential triple test. So if it actually ticked one above, I think it would trigger and flash up. And so that's why I put it one tick above and not just taking it at the high in this instance, which I sometimes like to do just to give myself one more tick of safety. And so I did tick, flash up, got my quick scalp, and then I prices this continue dropping. It's in this range now, and this is where I thought the other potentially good setup was. It's a new high. It's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long. So here you don't really see a second entry long yet. You don't know that it's in second entry long. It is a little congested. I saw this as an overshoot. It broke to the other side, depending on how you drew it, because if you try to include it, then you don't have an overshoot, but it looked like it fit somewhat pretty nicely, roughly about right there. But let's say you even took it here. It is at the low of this possible range, and I saw this as a potential triple test. 1, 2, 3. It's held above the EMA, and I thought it was going to go back in and test the highs of this orange channel. So I didn't take the trade though, and once this candle confirmed a second entry long as it was dancing and flashed up, the trade is already made. So I couldn't, try to put my trade down here, hoping the next candle after this green one's going to come all the way back, which would almost pretty much break below, pick me up, and then flash all the way back up. So definitely, it's just like if I didn't jump on it earlier, it was just something that I had to just let go. As you can see, it kind of chops around. You'd have to sit through this anguish, because if you did put it right here, you wouldn't have gotten filled here. But after you see this close, I'd be very hesitant to try to take this trade now. Here would have filled you, flashed up, depending on how much profit you're going for. You'd probably get a good scalp out of it. Then chops around, and then one of these candles might have stopped you out. If not, this one definitely would have. Prices then continued trending down. I'm not sure what I'm looking at because it's just very, very noisy. Chops around. You could argue this is a new high. It's a first entry long, second entry long. This is a great second entry long signal bar, but it's a little iffy because you're not really sure if it's obeying correctly this down green channel, this green down channel, and you're going to potentially run into the EMA. EMA is arguably pretty flat, but it is trending down. So it's not something that I really like. Chops around. I think it's in another trading range now, kind of like another overlapping trading range. Flashes through, breaks. I was wondering if there's going to be a failed breakout because it looks like it's finding some kind of support here where this guy previously met. But even then, that's a little bit of a weak argument. I didn't really like it. It was a new low here. It's a first entry short, pull back. Second entry short. Now I call this second entry short kind of like an almost trade. What I needed was because this is such a strong green bar, I needed this bar, this red one here, to either close at the very low, or I needed it to tick above and then also close low below the EMA. Now, what happened was this closed way up here. It didn't have enough power to push up, which is a good sign if you're trying to go short. However, what's a bad sign or a questionable sign is it pushed all the way down. It met it met the same low, but before it closed, it had to push all the way back up. So there was still some power in the buyers to push it all the way back up 2 ticks. So that gives me pause. So below the EMA, I needed to tick at least 1 tick below to confirm a second entry short to even consider this trade. But since it didn't do that, it just felt risky. And then by the time this one opens and flashes down, the trade has already been made. If you want to try to take a trade 1 tick below, now I feel it's a little bit dangerous now because this is the current lows. And to try to put it 1 tick above, 1 tick below here, you're asking for the prices to come all the way back up to pick you up on the next bar and then continue down, which is something I usually don't like. What needed to be a good setup is this candle here shouldn't have closed so strongly down, maybe halfway here to give me a little bit of chance to try to get in. Prices then continue moving, flashes down, drops around. It's a first break of the green channel, makes one attempt down, pulls back, makes a second attempt down, makes a double bottom, flashes around. I think there's a trading range right here from this to this. And it's just kind of, and then it breaks above. And I'm just wondering if it's going to be a fail breakout to continue back down. At this point, I'm thinking there's some kind of level here. So I draw this trend line support, this purple one, and I wasn't sure where the top of it was. I did put it right here because otherwise anywhere earlier would have chopped right through the price action. So at this point, I'm playing the purple channel, thinking, okay, well, it touched it twice, potentially a third time, and maybe it's going to come back up to the highs. But I don't see a good setup. It chops around, it kind of floats within this bigger trading range because I originally thought it was going to be the smaller trading range. And now it's going to eventually contact the purple line, but by moving sideways. It's going to hit the rejection potentially due to time and not due to price. And I'm very wary of something like that because that just means a very consolidated area. But to take a long is iffy and take a short is iffy, depending on the context. Prices then continue moving. I see a new high here is first entry long, pullback, second entry long, but this is a terrible signal bar. Doesn't give me much confidence. Moves back up. Okay, now it kind of touches the purple. So now I'm pretty sure the purple is at least 1 touch, 2 touch. I think I have a possible range, not a range, possible channel that I'm playing in. Flashes down. There was no way to enter this. Kind of creates a higher low or lower high. So it's a first entry long up to here. Then it's a higher low. It didn't get rejected by the EMA. Flashes down. I did see this as a new high. The first entry long, second entry long. The second entry long, it's a really nice signal bar. It's an almost trade though. But the problem with this that I just didn't feel that I like too much is I'm not 100% sure that this is my bottom of my trading range. So this could have been a failed breakout. It feels, so it broke out of this green channel, overshot, came back down, tested the lows, and now it came back. It closed pretty bullish after this gigantic red bar though. So this gigantic red bar made me think there could be still some momentum pushing it down, even though it closed very bullish. I just didn't feel comfortable. You could argue that it might have been worth a trade because the risk on it is only 1 point plus 2 ticks, one above, one below. So it's about 6 ticks. So maybe you could have taken it, but I felt like I'd be trying to pick the bottom. Then prices continue moving. It chops around. This is just funky price action right now. I'm going to stay away from things like that. Breaks out the green channel, already makes a new high, makes a second attempt up. It hits, and it looks like it's rejected for sure a third time on this purple channel now. So I'm really liking this purple channel. Chops around, confirming it finally breaks out of the purple channel and moves up. So I'm thinking it's a failed breakout on this purple channel, but I don't see any clean entries that I like. Technically, you have a new high here, first entry long. You have a second entry long here, but it's a terrible signal bar to go long on. Chops around, this is just consolidated, congestion. Prices are consolidating. It's just side by side. It's like piano keys. I don't like that. Prices then continue moving down, flashes up. So now I'm questioning whether this purple line resistance is valid. So I did find this red one touched once. It didn't really touch a second. It only touched 2 times so far, but the bottom fit pretty nicely. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's either the purple or the red. Here I do see a new high. It's a first entry long, second entry long failure, and then it creates a lower high. This lower high, again, is an almost setup. The entry to take this would have had to been engulfing, so you had to kind of take it as it broke below this guy because it ultimately closed very nice and bearish. But if after this close, seeing as there's potential support right across here, I was reluctant to think of taking a trade because you'd put it, say, one tick below, and then you'd have to ask for it to break through the potential support here all the way to come back down to the bottom. And I didn't feel that comfortable with it. So I just had to leave it alone. It looked like it would have worked though. Of course, you don't know that in real time. Prices then continue chopping down, falls into this green channel, and I'm just watching now. It breaks out. I see this second entry short. It's a new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short. Again, this is again what I call an almost setup because this is the second entry short signal bar, which did close below the EMA, which has been holding prices down, but it really hasn't been tested until this point. The problem is I needed this to be more bearish because it did break out of this green channel. Now you could say it made one push up, first leg up, pull back, and then a second push up. I was thinking that and thinking maybe that's played out and now prices are coming back down, especially after the close of this signal bar, after the close of this trigger bar. The problem is I could also see it and argue for this to be just one leg here, which means after this pullback, it might be looking for a second push up before it resumes this downward move. So knowing that, I just felt, okay, definitely not something I want to take a trade on. I just wasn't sure. It was also getting late in the day, and I was only one trade today and a profitable trade. So I didn't want to screw that up, especially during the last 30 minutes of the day. Actually, it's been past 30 minutes at this point. So I thought, okay, well, it could either be two legs or one leg. How lucky do I feel? I'm not sure. Turns out it was probably two legs, push up, pull back, second push up, and then now it's coming down to test the lows here. Of course, I don't know that in real time, so I did have to leave it alone, and I'm okay with leaving it alone. And then prices just kind of keep moving and chops into the close. Now you could say there's a new low here, first entry short, second entry short, but again, this is with only less than 15 minutes left in the day. I'm just a little more weary because during the last 10 minutes, usually price action gets a little bit choppy and whippy because people are closing out their earlier positions. Swing traders that took earlier positions are probably closing it out for their ultimate profit or ultimate loss. I just didn't want to be involved with that. So that's kind of how I saw the charts today. Overall trading, I don't know, this last few days, I mean, there hasn't been any, I guess, really super easy trading. It's all been these kind of these noisy, choppy ranges. And I think it could be due to kind of closing up the end of the year. Also, this options, the fourth quarter ES contracts, December, is kind of starting to roll over to the new ones, the H24s, so that might be contributing to some of this. But I just haven't been. I every day. I wouldn't say it was an easy day, and nothing particularly difficult. It's just been very. It's very. I guess the days have been very trying to make sure that you're staying disciplined and staying patient. So hopefully that's helpful.